Hello, everybody. Welcome back to All Our Parts. I am so excited to have a returning guest with me. So lucky to call her a friend, Lauren Larkin. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me and for being you. And I'm so happy to see you. It's been,
Way too long. I feel like it's been, what, 2 years?
yeah, it's been a long, wait, no, really? That's crazy. That's just,
2023. That's when because you were my first guest.
oh my God,
Yeah.
that's so crazy. Okay. Yeah, way too long. We got to make this at least an annual thing.
We did. Yes, it'll be our annual gift to one another. And I've loved seeing your career flourish and your essence really coming out in your content, allowing yourself to be you, letting us see different parts of you, both the fashion side, the humorous side, still leaning into the therapy content. You're not boxing yourself into that. And it's just so amazing.
Thank you. I really tried so hard when I first started. I think I was so insecure taking up space. And I thought, let me just stay in these couple of lanes that I feel comfortable in for a professional version of me. But low key, I've like always wanted to do social media and be an influencer, like deep down. So I couldn't let that part of myself out because I felt like it was so cringe and embarrassing. And now I'm just like, no, we're going to go full force into it. And if you're here for all of it, great. If you're here for one part, I like you too, but not as much. No, I'm just kidding. My favorite DMs are like, I love your therapy content, fashion content. Oh, yes. Even
Yes.
though every day I get ready and I have no clothes. I hate everything. So we're aspiring to be more in that space still.
Well, how's that capsule wardrobe coming?
Oh my God, it's so hard. I feel I order things and then I'm okay, I have all my basics, and then I'm putting together outfits and I'm like, this is so boring. So it's like a double-edged sword to be like, okay, I always have basic go-to items. Then I'm like, do I go to these too much? And then I'll go and buy like a pink sweater. And I'm like, that's not that's probably not capsule, but it's fine. We're just playing around with all of it. I decide to be many different things, many different days as like style changes, ideas change, my goals change. It's like when we wake up and we're like, what are we going to do today? We have all the things we need to do, and then a couple of other things we want to do. And it's just, what are we going to get to? And who am I going to be?
I've loved seeing you embrace the streetwear. That's
Thank
like
you.
that's the personal favorite because I feel like that's out of the box. And so when I see it, I'm like, yes, look at
I know it's
her.
like a blazer one day and like a buttoned up like gold button
Mhm.
sweater. And then the next day it's like a hat and like the baggiest jeans you've ever
The
seen.
jeans
But I've
slay.
been working on, not to make it clinical, but I've been working with clients a lot over the years on multiplicity. And I know the whole podcast and parts work, it's like embracing your parts and thinking through like, why do you have to be one thing? Like, yes, your brain wants you to categorize yourself. Maybe the people around you want you to stay in one space for them, or because that's how they understand you. But why is this part of you less valuable than that part of you? Or why can't you be an introvert and an extrovert? Why can't you like to party and like to read your book? Like, why? What's wrong with having all of these things come out? I think people think that they like don't have an identity if they can't tangibly explain it to somebody else. But I think I'm getting more and more comfortable having a really free flowing, ever changing identity, if that makes sense. I know what I think you used the word essence. I know what my essence is. I know what I'm trying to project the most. But then I love all the little branches. I'm just
Mhm.
having fun with it.
And that's what we can do. I love what you said, the word cringe, because I literally in session, I told someone like, do the cringe thing. Do the thing that feels like really uncomfortable, that feels like you're really putting yourself out there and in a safe, like reasonable way, because that's going to be the thing that allows you to grow and learn the most about yourself. But I think through podcasting and even through social content, like it's allowed me to evolve my professional identity in a way that grad school could never teach me how to.
Absolutely. It's so true. I love it.
I would like to stay in this
Okay,
lane.
let's do it. I love
Yeah.
it. We were speaking a little bit offline about compartmentalization, and I think it's really important to lean into whenever a opportunity comes up to say, let's do this instead.
Mhm.
We got to go towards what feels good. Because actually, I was saying this to a client the other day, like feeling multiple things at once is our body's way of protecting us. So when we are avoiding in some ways, yes, avoidance is like avoidance bad. When we think about it in therapy, sometimes it's like you don't want to avoid the emotions, you want to go straight into the hard thing. I actually see it so differently. I'm like, if your body is telling you it can't go towards the hard thing anymore, go towards the other thing. That's your body trying not to be overwhelmed and go into shutdown mode and letting you like microdose the negative emotions a little bit and then put them away for a sec. As long as you're constantly going back to it, let's do this thing. Let's talk
Yeah,
identity. Let's talk multiplicity. Let's go in that direction. I'm obsessed.
I love it. It go even as we talk about this conversation, allowing ourselves to ebb and flow in different spaces and not locking ourselves into one space, not compartmentalizing our identity. Like I
Yes.
think especially in the social media sector as therapists, as professionals, we go in and we want to present as a very specific therapist, or we want to be received as professional, as reliable, as capable. And I think consumers are also wanting a human therapist.
100%. And the space that we're in now, I think, in terms of social media, is what does well is the authenticity of it all. I do still really enjoy having my educational videos where I'm sitting exactly where you see me right now and I'm going through an in between sessions, or I'm going through a here's your things that I learned in session with my clients over the years, and here's what I want to share with you. But I have a different presentation to me, and it's
Mhm.
not fake. It's my educational speaker, master's degree from NYU, Lauren, talking to you. And then my doing my makeup in the morning or talking shit about something that annoys me is a very different vibe. So I think it's interesting because I'm always like this, the presentational part of me sometimes feels inauthentic, but it's still authentic to me. It's this one
Mhm.
part of my authentic identity. It's my professional identity. It's the capital P, like old school version of what we think of a therapist. And then the rest of it is just me being a person. And you can tell when somebody's being performative about their
Mhm.
personhood. And then
Oh,
you
yeah.
can tell when it almost looks like you're watching somebody's private Instagram story that you're not supposed to see, right? You know, this person's this is whoa, they're like in their towel, like
Mhm.
they're like doing their makeup. They're just talking. Maybe the lighting's not great. Maybe the aesthetic of the room isn't perfect. I like I like the mix of both because sometimes it's just freeing to hop on and say, here's my thought, and like I'm not perfectly articulating this and I'm not perfectly
Mhm.
presenting it. And then I do really like the thought out, more scripted. Like I wrote all these ideas down because I am intelligent and I am trying to like actually provide educationally something of value. And that's
Mhm.
where I think, in terms of, I know a lot of people ask me about growth, and I think a lot of people ask me about social strategy. And I've been doing a lot of business consults for this lately, and it's been so amazing to go through somebody's stuff and be like, here's what I would do. And this is
Yeah.
this could work. This is really great. I think you should pull this out and duplicate that, or you should do this, that, the other. But I think what I've noticed in terms of the growth that I've seen, and if I really wanted to only focus on growth, I think I know what my strategy would be, but I don't
Mhm.
necessarily want to. I like the rate and the pace that I've been going, because if anyone has had something go viral, they know that it is like also very activating. And I don't know how people do it all the time, but I like the idea of pulling from different audiences and growing over time people who actually care about you. I don't want to be the account that only gives you educational information that you can come to every single day and get 3 videos on education, because that feels one note to me and that doesn't feel like a well-rounded account. I want to be the person who, yeah, that one video doesn't do that well, but there's still people who are here for it. There are people who
Mhm.
are buying into not just one sector of the content, if that makes sense. And that's what I think is like what I think about my version of success in terms of like social media and sharing my life and my business and all the things. That's really where I see even if it's a smaller level of growth than other people, because you can always find people who have more followers or more engagement or more whatever, even if the numbers are smaller and stay smaller, for me, I would rather have a community that engages with all different aspects of me, if that makes sense.
100%. I had my first like viral post last year, the women in
I
nails.
remember that was so freaking funny because if you know you, that's the funniest part. If you know the lore, you know that this is even funnier.
I was like, Jasmine, you you're speaking to an audience that you're not a part of. I said, I know, and they love me.
Yeah.
But the activating, I was like, my comments aren't stopping. This keeps going. This is keeping going. And so that was like the confirmation.
Yeah.
I love the growth. I love seeing it evolve, and I like the rate that I'm going. I like being able to still engage with people. I like still being able to explore my identity in this space, but blowing up super quick, like full respect for people that can manage it. My nervous system, it wasn't ready.
And if that's your only goal, right? If you're not also seeing clients, if you're not also trying to get certain types of speaking engagements, or if you're not also trying to do other things, if your goal is just to grow, you can figure out a way to, again,
Mhm.
compartmentalize and figure and rage bait and just grow based off of that. You'll notice for me, like I engage with almost every comment for the most
Mhm.
part. Like I really try to, like, friends or followers or whoever, like I'll send a heart or thank you, like I'll at
Mhm.
least like it or something, because I think it's important to engage with your following in your community, especially if I see people over and over again. I love you. Like I'm like, thank you for being here. I like don't even know why you're here, but I'm obsessed. But then if there's a video that I notice quickly does really well, I can't keep up with them. I don't want to look at them because I know that there's going to be a mix. So I let it go.
Mhm.
The comments are not for me. The comments are not for me. We are not looking today. And I just let it go because it's so much better for my mental health to be not engaging. Every single negative comment that I've ever engaged with has made me feel worse about myself after I've engaged. So, unless like a sassy little funny joke that I'm going to put up, it's you're not getting a reply, you're not getting a comment, like just move along. And guess what?
Mhm.
After a while, it's oh, nothing bad is going to happen. It's just my stupid little phone. It's oh, this is actually not that serious. And like you and I would never go out there and put out something horribly offensive or particularly
Mhm.
controversial. That's just not, I don't think, our jam. So there's also that knowing that if you misstep or you misspeak or whatever, it's okay. It is serious in that we're not trying to cause harm out in the world,
Mhm.
but in the same way, it's social media. It's not causing harm in our therapy space. And some people cannot differentiate that the two things are not the same. That just because you have a day job and then you're also participating
Mhm.
in social media, that they have to be perfectly aligned and you have to present yourself perfectly as if you were
Yes.
in a session. Like those two things do not go together.
I am not your therapist. You have not signed a consent form with me. Therefore, I don't owe you that. And I feel like a lot of times that comes up in when therapists do like hot takes. And I'm thinking about the one you did for Love is Conditional.
Ah,
And
yes.
they ate you up.
They did. Yeah. Some of them I don't care though. Like I'm like, no, I still feel pretty strongly about this. I feel like sometimes I'm just like, yeah, if you want to go keyboard warrior on my ass, okay. No, the ones actually that go wild, which again, I also don't mind because I feel so strongly about this, is if you say anything about cheating or infidelity, and if you have any empathy for cheating or infidelity, people will not hear the rest of what you're saying. They hear you
Mhm.
say the word and it's red hyperactive mode type go.
Mhm.
And I'm like, y'all. First of all, read some Esther Perel. Second of all, we are actually supposed to, if you really want to take the therapy into it and make it about me being a therapist, which other people love to do, like
Mhm.
I am technically supposed to see all sides and understand all perspectives. And
Mhm.
I'm not going to bring, if I have a client who's been cheated on, I'm not going to be like, let's think about her perspective or his perspective or I'm not going to do that in session, but you better believe I'm doing it in my brain. You
Mm-hmm.
better believe I'm thinking about how did we get here and what are all the different contributing factors and societal impact factors
Mm-hmm.
and intergenerational traumas and all the things. How did we get here? And having the knowledge on why cheating happens and why infidelity exists is a part of that job. So it's for me to have any empathy for that is not enjoyable. Actually, if I wanted to go viral more, maybe I should just make a whole infidelity series. Forgiving your partner who has cheated on you, and everyone can just rip me apart.
And they don't, that's like part of couples work. If infidelity is the presenting issue, we're not helping them if we say, you know what, leave them.
Full
We're probably,
stop.
we may be, it might be in the back of our minds, but that's not what they're coming to us for. They're coming to repair it. And part of being a therapist is perspective taking, being able to look at the big picture and say, okay, what can we pull from this? How can we look at this from a couple of different angles, especially if we're working with more than one person in the room? And I think what people think therapy is, oh, that's not what we're doing in therapy. I actually had a family member text me recently that they were like, your job is to like help people, not hurt people. So why are you not contacting your family member? I said, actually, part of my work is boundary setting and self-love and compassion. So I am embodying what I would tell someone who's being impacted by their family in a negative way.
Yep. Better believe it. Oh,
Like this spineless concept sometimes that I feel like
mm.
therapists get. Maybe not spineless, but like the I think the pleasing aspect.
Like we are only supposed to validate and listen and
Mhm.
validate and
The
listen.
person-centered.
Yeah. Which I'm all for, but I think it's actually way more harmful to not point out harmful patterns of behavior and that's why I love being relational. I was actually talking, we had group supervision before this, and we were talking about cases and we were talking about just giving advice. And I'm always trying to continue to encourage my clients to bring up the relationship in the room.
Mhm.
And I was sharing that there's a few patterns in a few different clients that I have been working with that I'm noticing showing up. And I'm like, I'm just trying to find the right moment to say, hey, I think this, I'm noticing something, and that might be something that your friends are noticing. Or
Yeah.
I've noticed a few times that I leave our conversations feeling XYZ, and I'm thinking that maybe your girlfriend might also feel that, or your boyfriend might also feel that.
Mhm.
So, in the gentlest of ways, saying, we are also here to call you in to the conversation. And we're not here to just yes man everybody.
Mhm.
But that's the thing too. So we're talking about therapy criticism, right? Some people criticize therapists for being not opinionated enough or not helpful enough and not directive enough. And then some people say you're not supposed to share your opinions, or you're
Mhm.
only supposed to listen and validate. And the reality of it is it's a push and pull between the two when you're providing, I think, really good therapy. It's
Mhm.
about timing, it's about relationship, it's about knowing what to say when to sit
Mhm.
back and not say a damn thing at all because it's not the time and it's not about you.
Mhm.
So it's an art. And one of my supervisors in the past said some of it you just can't teach. Like some of it is very intuitive to,
Mhm.
yes, you have all of the the knowledge and
Yes.
theories in the back of your mind, but you can't teach someone when to integrate a certain tool in the right moment.
Mhm.
That has to be practiced and that has to be
Mhm.
worked through. And then some of it's just intuition.
Yeah. And that, I mean, that's a huge piece of the relational aspect. Like, I love being able to say, girl, like, what's going on? What'd you do? But that comes with rapport, that comes with paying attention, that comes with exploring the patterns and also being really present with the patterns that are showing up in session. That is, it's learned, it's It is. And some of it is intuition. It's call you in lovingly with the best intentions. It has to be like timed, and it has to be like the person also has to know that they are still held in that space, that they are still in like a space that is supportive of where they are, of their growth.
And that was one thing that I was going to say before that flew out of my head. And now I'm not sure if it's relevant. So, to the listeners, I'm sorry if this it feels like it's not relevant to what we were just saying. But when you have that loving and kind and non-judgmental space, like through and through, and the relationship is that strong enough that you could call someone out, strong enough that you could just sit there and not speak the entire time and hold space, and both would feel comfortable
Mhm.
enough. Those topics that we were talking about before, these like hot button keyboard
Mhm.
warrior, like things that people get really mad about in the world that we don't see as so black and white, those are those like taboo topics.
Mhm.
And nothing changes if we never talk about those taboo topics. And so, if we can create a perspective that therapists can listen to taboo topics, and if
Mhm.
we can create a perspective either on social media or in the one on one work that people see that say, oh, you could actually go to somebody and say those dark things that are in your
Mhm.
brain that you think you could never speak to anybody, and have them say, I wonder where that comes from. Okay, you want to cheat on your partner, you've been thinking about somebody at work, you've been fantasizing about somebody at work. Huh. I wonder what that means. Let's explore it
Yeah.
together. Instead of, ew, what an
Mhm.
asshole. Right? Like how I would probably talk to my friends if I hear about that from their partners. But that's because I'm protective of my friends. But in
Mhm.
the therapy space, I'm just there to say, oh, this is
Yeah.
coming up. I actually don't think any which way about you for sharing this.
Mhm.
And guess what? If we don't say it to someone at some point, we may act on it without having discernment, without having made a conscious choice to act on it with all of the information that we can learn in therapy.
Yeah.
So I think we should be talking about these things so much more. And people should be way more open to hearing an alternative perspective, even if they've had an experience where they've been harmed by someone, just to say, maybe if that person went and talked to somebody, it wouldn't have played out that way.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
if you could figure out a way to talk about that within your relationship, maybe it won't play out that way.
Mhm.
I don't know. Just thoughts. Total tangent back to a thought. I'm like, this was a thread that I had before. The word taboo was like standing out in my head. And why did I want to say that? And then I found it. But it's Friday. Like, I can't be perfectly cohesive today.
But when we talk about compartmentalizing, when we talk about being able to show up like authentically and honestly as therapists, it also this very sometimes it's a touchy subject, but I am very comfortable with not being the therapist for everybody. And
Mm-hmm.
that's, I think that is also the bottom line is when you allow yourself to show up and you know the clients that you are willing, like you are looking to attract, looking to work with. I'm also not the therapist for everybody. And I'm going to be doing harm if I'm trying to be the therapist for everybody.
100%. That's actually my favorite in a sassy way. Some of my comments on videos that are like, I would never want to see you. I'm like, first of all, I'm probably never taking a new client ever again. Your words don't hurt me. I don't need you. And second of all, if you cannot discern humor, that is definitely not for me. Like, I need to be able to joke and laugh and bring in humorous
Hmm.
moments with my clients. And like, they're like, how would your clients feel if they saw this?
They
Like,
would giggle.
my clients are like, I saw this actually on your
Mhm.
TikTok, and that was a really good point because blah, 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 blah. Or they're like, you came up on my TikTok. It was so cute and funny. Okay, back to me. I'm like, my clients do not care. They don't care. Okay. And if they have cared, we've moved along or we've
Mhm.
moved through it, or they've set the boundaries that they need, and they know that I'm not offended and they don't need to be privy to all these parts of my life. And that's fine. But truly, if you do not have a sense of humor, I do not think you would be the client for me. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I hope it offends people.
You can't handle a little sass, if you can't handle a little humor, I am definitely not the therapist for you. And I have a list that I can send you of people that would probably work. And that is, if we are meant to support our clients in embodying being themselves and being true to who they are, that also has to like, we got to model that in our work too. I think, because then we're just
Totally.
speaking in incongruence.
100%. Like that would just not us be us practicing what we preach. And I know we talked about this before we started recording too. It's like actually doing the work as a therapist is doing what you would encourage your client to do. And it's tricky. It's tricky because sometimes that requires us to take time for ourselves. And I know for me, one of the biggest things is I want to be Elastigirl in The Incredibles. Like I would like to have my hand in everything and stretch
Mhm.
myself as thin as possible. And then I will get an email and it's, do you have any more time? And I'm like, I really need a couple of things today for me to breathe. I don't think I can move things around, or that would cost a lot of money for me to move that workout class, or like that. Like I don't have anything today. How about tomorrow? How about we move our
Mhm.
session up to another day earlier in the week next week? Like I will do whatever I can because I care so much, but I
Mhm.
have to care for myself. And I think that's the trickiest part of being a therapist is we want to be reliable, we want to be accessible,
Mhm.
but we also have to compartmentalize in a way where we have our own lives and we have plans that we stick to and we blow off steam in whatever way works for us and
Mhm.
we shut off from the emotional holding because then otherwise our therapists are going to burn out really quickly
Mhm.
and then we're not going to have accessibility and good therapy available for
Mhm.
people. And it's such a delicate balance in the compartmentalization space. I actually said to my supervisee yesterday, because I had a couple of just tough
Mhm.
clients this week, just tough stuff. They're not tough clients, tough stuff coming up in their sessions.
Mhm.
And I'm like pretty good at compartmentalization, if I do say so myself. I feel like I have gotten to a place where I like feel like it's a muscle, like I open and
Mhm.
close. But I was like in a coffee shop trying to get some admin work done. And like tears started coming into my eyeballs. It's like out of nowhere. And I was like, what is this?
You
As the
can tell
therapist, we're
that.
like, where is this coming from? And what emotion is this that I'm feeling? And I was like, it's just a heavy week. Like, I was just like,
Mhm.
this is just a lot. Like, you just had a lot going on this week, and you're holding a lot of space for a lot of heavy things.
Mhm.
And I'm glad that we're recording this at a time where this is going to come out completely unrelated to this actual week. Nobody's ever going to
Mhm.
know who I'm thinking about or talking about. And that's why I love being able to talk about this at such a high level. But because I don't want anyone to feel bad about what they're sharing with me. That is
Yeah.
the gift. That is the best part about the work that we do is being able to hold that space. But I was like, oh, this is a tough week. That's important for me to
Mhm.
know. What can I do for self-care? And thank you to this emotion for creeping out at this coffee shop
Yeah.
because this is helping me actually legitimize and remind myself that this is so tough sometimes. And not just
Yeah.
pretend,
And I,
woo, totally fine. Now I'm at the
yeah.
coffee shop, totally different mode. Yes, sometimes that helps, but it didn't help this week because it surpassed the typical level of compartmentalization that I'm capable of. Oh my God, I can't speak today.
And that we are still people. We are people supporting people. And so we have to give ourselves like permission to be human, to be people, to not have it all together, to not be holding that space and just say, damn, it's been a hard week, been a hard month,
Okay.
and
Hard
I'm
month.
carrying a lot. And that's hard. That starts to weigh on a person. I think when we are able to compartmentalize so much that we become completely like separate from it, that's where it's like checking in, okay, do I need to lean more into the self-care aspects? Do I need to up the self-care classes, the workouts, the friend times, like all the things that help us be a person? Am I really holding on to something that might be time to unpack and see what's like coming up for me in that space? I think all of it gets to be data. It
Mhm.
gets to tell us, okay, I need to lean more into the naps. I need more
Slug
naps,
day.
or I need to leave
Plug
like I
for
need
slug day.
slug. I almost wore the sweatshirt today. I was like, what slug gear can I like
I love you.
get out of my repertoire? But yeah, it all gets to be like data. Yeah. Okay, this is where I'm at this week. And
Right.
when we give ourselves permission to be there, it actually allows us to compartmentalize a lot easier because it's like, I know this is where I am
Mm-hmm.
and I'm okay with that. And I'm going to just keep rolling on with my week.
And it's interesting. It's like that phenomenon that we're speaking about. Sometimes I'm making this today like a social media rant in some ways, but I think it's important to talk about the misunderstanding of it. Like sometimes I will speak to the duality of the experience
Hmm.
and that therapists are going through hard things, whether it's in their own life or just the hardness of carrying other people's stuff or whatever else. And people will say, that just makes me feel bad going and talking to my therapist. I don't want to know this. And it's like,
Hmm.
first of all, how do you not know this? Like, do you really think that the person that you've been speaking to, or that a person, any person, could hear and witness and hold and
Hmm.
feel with you and never have a feeling outside of that? And then, secondly, that doesn't mean we can't do it. It doesn't mean we didn't sign up for it. That doesn't mean that we don't have systems in place to handle it,
Hmm.
including laughing about it,
Hmm.
making silly little jokes about it, having supervision, having our own therapy, having my therapist right now, she's really on me, on my butt about not talking about work. Not giving her a progress report on all the projects I'm working on. Essentially, I need to not have you like come in and just tell me, and then I'm doing this, and I'm working about that, and I'm stressed about this. And she's like, no, no more. But this week, I did say, I was like, I know I'm not supposed to talk about work, but I have to talk about these emotional things that have to do with work. And I have to walk myself through the fact that I'm doing everything okay or right, like by the book. Okay. And she's like, I'll allow it. But it's like being able to speak to it and have community in it, I think is so important for therapists also to know that they're not alone. And I think for clients to just be aware that their therapist is a person too, but that they shouldn't feel bad because this is a job that we signed up for. This is a job that we can handle. And the reality is there's collective trauma, there's individual trauma, there's so much relational stuff going on in everybody's lives in the here and now and day to day that of course we have our own stuff, but when we do turn it off, we feel better. I know I'll speak for myself. I feel better when I see my clients. I
Hmm.
can really turn the noise volume all the way down on something else going on in my life and be there for them. And that does make me feel good in many ways. So I don't know. I get to the criticism doesn't get to me too much because I know what I'm trying to achieve in some of these ways. But sometimes I wish I could say this to people. Maybe I'll just say, go to listen to this podcast. Go listen to this pod. All my comments to, hey, just go listen to this podcast that I did of jazz. Because I think if you're misunderstanding some of the intent behind some of these things, this might help you understand.
Like I took my first client again this week on Tuesday, and it was like the best. I was like, oh my gosh, I've missed you. I'm so happy to see you. And it's that hour of reprieve for them, but it's also an hour of reprieve for us too. Like we get to show up for you, we get to support you, we get to celebrate you and be in this space and share it with you. And that feels good. That's why we're in this work. That's why we create the containers that we do and show up the ways that we do, because that work is fulfilling for us. And so I echo your sentiment that there is nothing better than for me sometimes to just show up and sit with a client.
100%. Unless I'm not going to be able to be present,
Mhm.
which I know is a skill that we have to check in with ourselves about, then I would cancel. But most of the time, I would say, even if I'm going through something in my own life, I would rather show up for them because it's so fulfilling. It's so lovely. The relationships are so genuine. They're so
Mhm.
real for me that my day to day, my week to week, just seeing my people, that's kind of like
Mhm.
how I see them now, feels better than if I were to maybe some days shy away from it.
Yeah.
But we do need to take time off. Sometimes we need to be
Yes.
better about taking time off too.
Thank you so much for joining me today and chatting. I'm always so appreciative of you, and I have loved having you in my life on this journey with me. Like, it's really made a difference. I have so much respect and admiration and love for you.
Right back at you. I'm so proud of you. I feel like we've been through a lot. Like when I first did this call with you and I didn't know you, or we did a call just to meet each other, I think a long time ago. And then when we first did our first podcast recording, we were like, we could do this forever. We could just talk
Mhm.
forever. And that's the biggest thing I've gotten from social media is these friends all over
Mhm.
that share the same values and share the same belief system and have the same passion for the work. So I love you.
Mm. I am asking all of my guests this season for their 2025. What is your commitment to yourself?
Commitment to myself. Ooh, okay. So my word for the year is opportunity. So I'm trying
Okay.
to feel this out and think about what the commitment is. So I'm really big on not taking every opportunity right now because I don't want to overextend myself, but
Mhm.
holding out and trusting the universe that if I say no to an opportunity because it doesn't feel right, that bigger opportunities are coming. So I think my commitment to myself is trusting the process and dreaming big so
Mhm.
that I don't overextend myself with the scarcity mindset of I have to do it all. Instead, I'm going to say no to the things that are going to drain me or overextend me. And I'm going to hold out hope that means that something bigger and better is coming.
Oh, I love it.
Thanks.
So excited for you, Lauren. Thank you so much for joining me today.
You're the best. Thank you for having me.
Thank you all so much for tuning into this episode. Make sure you tap the bell to stay in the loop with new episodes dropping every Friday. If this episode spoke to you, I'd be so grateful if you left a review. It helps others find the show and reminds me why I keep showing up. And if you want to keep the conversation going, come hang with me on socials at Healing with Jasmine. We're healing out loud together.